have a choice between saving one person and saving an entire world, every world.
I can do both!
The MCU has given us a ton of heroes, but today we're focusing on some of the most important ones who really need to show up in the MCU in 2026 and 2027. Nova, Richard Rider, Sam Alexander. So the Nova Corps, Marvel's version of intergalactic space cops, already showed up in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, but the Nova we really need to talk about is Richard Rider. He debuted in the late 70s with The Man Called Nova and later joined the New Warriors. He's kind of like a cosmic Peter Parker, a regular working-class teen who suddenly got massive power after a dying Nova Corps member passed the mantle to him. Think Marvel's answer to Green Lantern, but with a more down-to-earth vibe. In recent years, Nova's gotten a big boost in popularity thanks to Marvel focusing more on their cosmic side with events like Annihilation. There's even a younger Nova now, Sam Alexander, who's taken up the role too. Either one could work for the MCU, Richard for a classic take, or Sam for a fresh, younger approach. A perfect way to introduce Nova? Tie his origin into the off-screen destruction of Xandar that was mentioned in Avengers Infinity War. Maybe he's the lone survivor who inherits the Nova Force, setting him up for a solo project or a team-up movie. Aries. The Hercules teaser at the end of Thor: Love and Thunder feels like one of those cliffhangers Marvel might just leave hanging forever. But if Brett Goldstein's Hercules actually makes a comeback, there's a good chance we'll also meet his way cooler brother, Aries. Back in the 2000s, Aries had a solid run as an anti-hero, teaming up with Iron Man's Mighty Avengers and even Norman Osborn's Dark Avengers. Marvel's version of Aries is way more intense than David Thewlis's take on the God of War in DC's Wonder Woman. Carol Danvers once summed him up as Thor and Wolverine rolled into one, which pretty much says it all. He's insanely strong, a brilliant strategist, and absolutely loves getting his hands dirty in the most hardcore ways possible. Like he once led a training session while blasting a Gatling gun with one hand and chugging a beer with the other. Imagine the MCU showing him dousing himself in flaming oil, getting launched straight into an enemy army, and just going full chaos mode. If Thor 5 happens, throwing Ares into the mix would make him a serious force to be reckoned with. Ares basically has all the standard Olympian god perks: superhuman strength, speed, agility, durability, crazy fast reflexes, a healing factor, and near immortality. But his powers go way beyond what most Olympians have. Among his kind, only Zeus and Hercules are stronger, while Neptune and Pluto are about on his level. He doesn't tire out, his body resists most injuries, and he can handle insane impacts, energy blasts, extreme heat or cold, and even massive falls without much damage. Though, like other gods, he's not totally invincible. He's been injured before, especially when he spent a long time living on Earth and became more vulnerable. Still, he's tanked point-blank machine gun fire from War Machine, so he's no pushover. Ares doesn't age, can't get sick, and is immune to earthly diseases. He's not a big magic user like other gods, and can't fly or shoot energy blasts, but he does have some mystical abilities. He can sense gods, demons, and magic, summon other gods, and travel between Olympus and Earth when he wants. He's even ripped through time itself to track people down, which is wild. He's created creatures like the Stymphalian birds and can manipulate conflicts and wars at will, literally fueling chaos wherever he goes. As the god of war, his combat skills are unmatched. Even Zeus and Athena can't beat him in a fight. He's a master of all weapons, from classic swords, axes and spears, to modern firearms, explosives, and even Hydra blood bullets. He's also big on torture, interrogation, and brutal tactics. Basically, if it has anything to do with war, death, or destruction, Ares is the ultimate expert. Beta Ray Bill. If Taika Waititi and James Gunn weren't so annoyed about Thor tagging along with the Guardians at the end of Avengers Endgame, we probably would have seen Beta Ray Bill show up already. Sure, it might have clashed a bit with Thor: Love and Thunder's whole someone else wields Mjolnir storyline, but now that Jane's out of the picture, there's still a chance. Bill could one day grab the hammer, probably without even realizing how big of a deal that is. We do know Beta Ray Bill exists in the MCU in some way. His face popped up in Thor Ragnarok as part of the Grandmaster's Mount Rushmore-style tribute to former Gladiator champions. That's a fun nod, since Bill actually fought Hulk in the Planet Hulk animated movie. He even got another small Easter egg in What If Season 3, appearing on a superhero foosball table owned by the Exiles. For those who don't know, Beta Ray Bill is a Corbinite whose life force was transferred into a cybernetic, horse-faced alien warrior body. Thanks to crazy genetic engineering and cybernetic implants, he's insanely strong, super fast, durable, and basically built to last forever. He's also a killer fighter, strong enough to go toe-to-toe with Thor himself and hold his own. His weapon, Stormbreaker, works just like Mjolnir. It can transform into a cane and revert him back to his original Corbinite form. He's also got a partner, a sentient warship named Scuttlebutt, which was designed to save his people from Galactus. Scuttlebutt can heal his injuries, handle repairs, and even create a female humanoid avatar when needed. After Stormbreaker got destroyed, Bill replaced it with the Twilight Sword, which channels the flames of Muspelheim and still lets him shift back into his normal form. Amadeus Cho. The MCU's clearly building up its roster of younger heroes. Just look at Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, and the upcoming projects. One of the most exciting candidates for this new wave is Amadeus Cho. He's only been around in Marvel Comics for under 20 years, but he's already made a huge impact. Amadeus is a Korean-American teen super genius who somehow always finds himself mixed up in superhero drama. At first, he's more of a sidekick, tagging along with big names like the Hulk and Hercules. But eventually, he becomes a Hulk himself, taking on the name Totally Awesome Hulk. Unlike Bruce Banner, Amadeus loves being the Hulk. He has fun with it, cracking jokes, flirting mid-battle, and just enjoying the ride. He's got this fun, charming vibe that would fit perfectly in a She-Hulk style show or even a movie featuring Hercules, who's also been teased for the MCU. Plus, Amadeus is a really adaptable character. He doesn't have to be a Hulk to work, so Marvel has a lot of freedom in how they use him. He showed up in the animated Spider-Man Freshman Year series, but honestly, a live-action Amadeus Cho would be an amazing addition to the MCU's lineup of younger heroes. Captain Britain. So far, most MCU stories have stuck close to North America, but that's slowly starting to change. If Marvel wants to expand across the pond, Captain Britain is the perfect way to do it. He's not like Captain America, who got his powers from a serum. Captain Britain is literally chosen by Merlin, yes, the Arthurian wizard, and given mystical powers to protect Britain. That ties him into a rich backstory full of magic, alternate dimensions, and Arthurian legend, which would add a fresh fantasy vibe to the MCU. What's cool is that Captain Britain isn't locked to just one person. The title started with Brian Braddock, but it's been passed down to his sister Betsy and even to Faiza Hussein, a Muslim hero who wielded Excalibur and took up the mantle. That flexibility makes the character super adaptable for whatever Marvel wants to do: solo adventures, a new Avenger, or a bridge into more magical corners of the universe. And if Marvel ever tackles the 2015 Secret Wars storyline, Captain Britain could have an awesome role leading the mystical realm of Higher Avalon. He's basically a perfect mix of superhero action and fantasy world building, exactly the kind of character who could shake up the MCU. Miles Morales. Let's be real, Miles Morales doesn't need the MCU. He's already thriving with his Oscar-winning Spider-Verse movies and his own hit video games. But that doesn't mean Marvel shouldn't bring him into live action too. Miles is an Afro-Latin ex-teen who steps up as Spider-Man after his universe's Peter Parker dies. He became so popular that even when Marvel ended the comic line he came from, they refused to let him go. They just moved him into the main universe to coexist with Peter. Now, there are two Spider-Men, and it works beautifully. He also has great chemistry with other young heroes like Kamala Khan, who's already in the MCU, so he'd fit right in. Plus, as Tom Holland eventually ages out of the role, introducing Miles as the next Spider-Man would be a natural move. We've already seen 3 Spider-Men share the screen in No Way Home, so why not add one more to the mix? Hulkling. This one is really important character for the formation of Young Avengers. Hulkling has been rumored for the MCU for years, and we technically might have already seen him, just not officially confirmed yet. There were hints, like him appearing next to Billy Maximoff, who becomes Wiccan, in a show, but even the people making the show weren't told if that was really Hulkling. It could be a fake-out, or Marvel might just reveal it later. Recent reports say Marvel still plans to bring him in sooner rather than later. Now, a lot of people confuse Hulkling with being part of the Hulk family, but he's got nothing to do with Bruce Banner. Yeah, he's green and has Hulk in his name, but he's actually an alien prince, half Kree, half Skrull. He's way more connected to cosmic Marvel stories than Earth-based ones. And he's much younger than the Hulks we're used to. In the comics, he's a big deal because he eventually unites the Kree and Skrull empires as their ruler, Emperor Doric VIII. Oh, and he's also in a relationship with Wiccan, which makes him a key part of the Young Avengers lineup. Power-wise, Hulkling's a beast. From his Skrull side, he gets shape-shifting and quick healing. From his enhanced Kree side, he has serious super strength. His shape-shifting isn't just for disguises. He can grow claws, wings, body armor, even shift his density so he's crazy durable. Bullets, blades, energy blasts? Barely scratch him. He can even unconsciously shift his body to protect himself when he's in danger. His healing isn't Wolverine level, but it's fast. And fun fact, his alien biology makes him immune to pheromone-based mind control. Later in his story, Hulkling inherits Excelsior, a cosmic sword tied to the Skrull royal family. That blade can absorb magic, cancel out mystical entities, and basically marks him as the ruler of both the Kree and Skrull. If the MCU brings him in, it opens up huge storytelling possibilities. The end of the Kree-Skrull War, new cosmic plots, Young Avengers setup, and major LGBTQ+ representation with his romance with Wiccan. The only catch? Disney's been weird lately about how much LGBTQ+ content they want to include, so we'll see how bold they go. Black Cat. Yeah, this one's definitely up for debate. In The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Felicity Jones popped up for a blink-and-you'll-miss-it role as Harry Osborn's assistant, Felicia. Nobody would remember it if it weren't for the fact that she was clearly meant to be Felicia Hardy, aka Black Cat. And let's be real, Felicity Jones was way too big of a name for such a tiny part. Back then, Sony was still dreaming about building a full Spider-Man cinematic universe, and this cameo was supposed to set up a Black Cat Silver Sable team-up movie that never happened. It wasn't the only near miss either. Black Cat was in earlier drafts of Spider-Man 2 and was even rumored for Raimi's scrapped Spider-Man 4. And yet, after 10 Spider-Man movies and half a dozen spin-offs, we've seen pretty much every major Spidey character on screen except Black Cat. Well, and the Jackal, who only exists as a background plot point in Kraven the Hunter. Now that Sony's Spider-Man universe has fizzled out, maybe, just maybe, we'll finally get to see Black Cat properly show up in the MCU. Alphalight. Since the Infinity Saga wrapped up, the MCU has been busy introducing fresh heroes like Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, and Shang-Chi to set up the next generation of Avengers. So why not expand even further and bring in Canada's own superhero squad, Alphalight? First introduced in the pages of Uncanny X-Men by John Byrne, Alphalight is a colorful Canadian team featuring standout characters like Northstar, Puck, Sasquatch, and their leader, Guardian. They've got a rich history full of wild adventures, even if they've always been a bit overshadowed by bigger teams like the Avengers and X-Men. Because of their variety and personality, Alphalight could easily carry a Disney Plus series or even a full-on movie. But even if they just popped up as supporting players in another MCU story, their dynamic and unique vibe would make them a fun addition to the universe. Tigra. There are basically two types of Avengers: the big-name solo heroes like Captain America, who have their own comics, and the B-listers who mostly hung out at Avengers Mansion for years. Vision falls into that second category, along with characters like Jocasta, Dr. Druid, and Stingray, heroes who haven't made it to the MCU yet. Wonder Man was probably the biggest name among them, and since he's getting his own Disney Plus show, that leaves us with someone like Tigra. Tigra's a tricky one. She's too niche for the Avengers main lineup and a bit too wild for street-level heroes like Daredevil. That's probably why Hulu almost made a Tigra and Dazzler animated show. She did get a funny cameo in the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers Disney Plus movie, where the animated version from Avengers United They Stand showed up at a comic convention chilling with ugly Sonic and his weird human teeth. Tigra's powers come from a mix of science, magic, and mental energy courtesy of the cat people. She's basically a cat-human hybrid with orange striped fur, sharp claws and teeth, cat-like eyes, a semi-prehensile tail, and enhanced strength, speed, stamina, agility, and reflexes. She heals fast, can move silently, and her senses, sight, smell, and hearing, are way beyond even a normal cat's. She can see in complete darkness, track people by scent, and even pick up on their moods. She's also got mystical touches, like a talisman that lets her switch between her cat form and human form, though she prefers staying feline. Her unique brain structure makes her harder to mess with telepathically, and her skeleton is super flexible, letting her escape restraints. She's a skilled fighter with a unique cat-inspired style, has trained with Captain America, can pilot Avengers tech and even interstellar ships, and has some low-key mystical potential. Doctor Strange's Eye of Agamotto once even flagged her as a possible Sorcerer Supreme candidate. Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew. Spider-Woman's origin story is a little messy. Marvel's tweaked it more than once, but her place in the comics is rock solid. At its core, her story is simple. Jessica Drew was the result of some shady experiments, ended up working for the wrong side for a while, realized her mistake, and turned into a full-on superhero. Since then, she's built a pretty great resume. She's best friends with Captain Marvel, who's already thriving in the MCU, worked with agencies like S.W.O.R.D., just getting started on screen, and even joined the Avengers. On top of all that, she's had plenty of solo adventures, lately balancing life as a hero with being a new mom. Bringing her into the MCU could really shake things up for the next wave of Avengers, adding a cool mix of spy vibes, street-level action, and cosmic connections. Plus, she's already getting more love in animation with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, so why not give her the live-action spotlight too? Well, that's it for today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, because we'll be covering more updates on this soon and other exciting upcoming movies and series. We'll see you next time.